ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਸੋਰਠ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪੰਜਵਾ। ਚਰਨ ਕਮਲ ਸਿਓ ਜਾ ਕਾ ਮਨ ਲੀਨਾ, ਸੇ ਜਨ ਤ੍ਰਿਪਤ ਅਗਾਈ। ਗੁਣ ਅਮੋਲ ਜਿਸ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਨਾ ਵਸਿਆ, ਤੇ ਨਰ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਤ੍ਰਿਖਾਈ। ਹਰ ਆਰਾਧੇ ਅਰੋਗ ਅਨਦਾਈ, ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਵਿਸਰੈ ਮੇਰਾ RAM ਸਨੇਹੀ। ਤਿਸ ਲਾਖ ਬੇਦਨ ਜਣ ਆਈ ਰਹਾਉ। ਜਹ ਜਨ ਓਟ ਗਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੇਰੀ, ਸੇ ਸੁਖੀਏ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਸ਼ਰਣੇ। ਜਹ ਨਰ ਬਿਸਰਿਆ ਪੁਰਖ ਵਿਧਾਤਾ, ਤੇ ਦੁਖੀਆ ਮਹਿ ਗਣਨੇ। ਜਹ ਗੁਰ ਮਾਨ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਲਿਵ ਲਾਈ, ਤਿਹ ਮਹਾ ਆਨੰਦ ਰਸ ਕਰਿਆ। ਜਿਹ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਬਿਸਾਰ ਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਬੇਮੁਖਾਈ, ਤੇ ਨਰਕ ਘੋਰ ਮਹਿ ਪਰਿਆ। ਜਿਤ ਕੋ ਲਾਇਆ ਤਿਤ ਹੀ ਲਾਗਾ, ਤੈਸੋ ਹੀ ਵਰਤਾਰਾ। ਨਾਨਕ ਸ਼ਹ ਪਕਰੇ ਸੰਤਨ ਕੀ, ਹਿਰਦੈ ਭੈ ਮਗਨ ਚਰਨਾਰਾ। ਜਿਤ ਕੋ ਲਾਇਆ ਤਿਤ ਹੀ ਲਾਗਾ, ਤੈਸੋ ਹੀ ਵਰਤਾਰਾ। ਨਾਨਕ ਸਹ ਪਕਰੀ ਸੰਤਨ ਕੀ, ਹਿਰਦੈ ਭੈ ਮਗਨ ਚਰਨਾਰਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, today's pavan pavitra Hukamnama Sahib from Sachkhand Sri Harmandir Sahib has been blessed to us by Dhan Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah today, our Panjame Padshah, our 5th Guru Sahiban. This Hukamnama Sahib is on Ang 612 in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sache Padshah. So let's go through these words of Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah Ji today. Sorat'h Mehla Panjwa, Charan Kamal Syo Ja Ka Man Leena. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah Ji saying, Jaka those, Jaka means those, kende Charan Kamal Syo, kende those minds that are man leena, those minds that are leena, completely immersed, completely attached to what? Charan Kamal, to the Charan Kamal, to the lotus feet of Vaheguru Ji. Se jan tripat agai. Guru Sahib Ji kende it's those humble beings, kende that are what? Kende se jan tripat agai, that have become tripat. Tripat means to become satisfied. Agai, Sangat Ji, means to be completely fulfilled. And ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਇਹ ਦੋ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਲੈਣੀਆਂ. There's two things that we're going to take from this word Charan Kamal. Being completely attached and immersed into the Charan Kamal of Vaheguru Ji. ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਚਰਨ ਨੀਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ. First thing to always keep in mind, that charan are always at a lower place. As we all know, the head is at the top and the charan are all the way at the bottom, at the lowest point of somebody. So Sangat Ji, ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ, what Guru Arjan Dev Ji Padshah Ji saying, is saying that when we always remain in humility, when we're always humbled before that one Vaheguru Ji, that one that we have all come from, before that one that is in control of everything. Sache Paatshah Ji saying in the Charan Kamal, Pehli gal, I'm immersed in that lowest point, meaning that I've always put my head down to that one. I live my life with complete humbleness. And then kende Charan Kamal and your Charan Sache Paatshah Ji hai Vaheguru Ji are kamalful, meaning a lotus feet. Lotus feet, that quality of the lotus flower, that is within your Charan hai Vaheguru Ji. The remaining in humility, always being immersed in you in humility, but I remain like a kamal as well. If I attach to your charan that are like a kamal, like a lotus flower, then I become like that lotus flower as well. Becoming like that lotus flower meaning that I'm enjoying life, that I'm completely involved in life. I'm carrying out all my duties in life. I'm eating for this body. I'm enjoying all these beautiful tastes. I'm looking after my children. I'm enjoying those beautiful moments with my children. Those playful moments of life. I'm completely involved in it all. But like that lotus flower, it doesn't allow that water, to drain it, to drown it. That water doesn't seep into it, and it doesn't become the death of that lotus flower, whilst we're enjoying everything, remaining completely unattached. And that's what it means when we're completely always immersed in the feet of Vaheguru Ji, always keeping in remembrance that Vaheguru Ji is in control. And when we start to live our lives like that, when we start to live humble lives, when we start to live in humility and Sangatji, and remain detached as well from what we are enjoying, then we'll start to feel satisfied from inside. Andar pyareo, apne andar oho gun aajuga, keda gun? Santokh da. Andro jado koi andro par jave. When we are fulfilled from inside, then it doesn't matter if it kuj sanu kuj nahi matlab baar de naal. Then outside doesn't make a difference to us anymore. When we're content from inside, when we're tript from inside, jado andro koi par jave. Sangat ji, even if we just look at the example of somebody's eating, koi kuj khanda, bhojan khanda ya pyareo, ta bhojan khanda, ta andro jado raj jave, ta onnu koshish karo, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਯਤਨ ਕਰੋ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਖਾ ਲਓ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਖਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਤ੍ਰਿਪਤ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। If you try and say to somebody that is eating food, but they're full now, fulfilled, agai, and their mind is satisfied as well, because they acknowledge that I'm full, and you try and give them more food and they'll say, no thank you, I'm full. So Sangatji, in that way, when we're full from inside, because we've got everything we need, we've got Vaheguru Ji, because we're living in the feet of Vaheguru Ji from inside. When we've got that from inside, we're satisfied. Living humbly, Sangatji, doesn't have that inside. It doesn't leave those burning desires inside to try and get at the top and above somebody else. And then once we're full from inside, and it doesn't matter then what happens outside. Fir pyareo, fir pama ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਣ, ਪਰ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਮਿੱਤਰ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਹਾਲ ਮੁਰੀਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ. But even if then for Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji, their sons become martyrs before their eyes, but still then Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji will be singing Mittar Pyare Nu Hal Muridan Da Kehna. They're saying, hey, Mittar Pyare Nu, that Vaheguru Ji, that is my Mittar, that is my friend, that is my beloved. Mittar Pyare Hal Muridan Da Kehna. And they're saying that let that Vaheguru Ji know my state. And my state is what? that I am still in Anand. It doesn't matter that I'm sleeping in jungles today, but I've still got your remembrance, so I've still got everything. When we get to that state of being full from inside, pyareo, then it doesn't matter if something goes or if something comes. If we're blessed with a child, it's kirpa, it's your grace, but it doesn't feel like we've gained anything more because we've got everything from inside with tripata agahi, because we've got the feet of Waheguru Ji. And if we then lose that child, whether that child, meaning we lose that child in the sense of that child goes off and does their own thing in life. They find their own feet in life and they go off and do their own thing. And even if they don't keep any form of communication or whatever the situation, you can think of this yourself for whatever it is. Sangat Ji, even if it means that whatever relationship, whatever possession it is for you in your life that has come into your life, that has gone from your life. But what does it mean? Nishani kiya. What is that nishani? What is that sign that we have attached ourselves to Waheguru Ji's Charan Kamal? Then, Sangat Ji, even if that thing or person that is most precious to us, and even when they leave, we've not lost anything, because we've got everything. Sangat Ji, Gun Amol Jis Hriday na vasya te nar trishan trikhai. Look at this, Sangat Ji, the opposite. They're saying that kende Gun Amol Jis Hriday na vasya. Kende, but if that gun isn't inside of them, if that quality of being immersed in the feet of Waheguru Ji inside isn't there, living in that humility and detached from what we have got around us, when that isn't inside of us, that quality isn't inside of us, then what happens to us? Paat Ji fir kehn lage, kende te nar trishan trikhai. Kende that nar, that human being, kende te nar trishan, then they'll end up in what? Trishan. In these burning desires from inside. The opposite to tripat. Ek paase pyareo tripat ya, ta dusre paase trishan ya. One place there is satisfaction, the other side there is these burning desires inside. These burning desires that Sache Paatshah Ji is talking about is different to just having a general drive in life to succeed and do well, where that driving force is coming from there, coming from compassion. Pyareo, Paatshah Ji kehne trishan trikhai, kehne that trikha will always continue to be trikhai, meaning unsatisfied, because trikhai comes from the word of being thirsty. But this meaning always constantly still thirsty, thinking je aa ho jave shayad taan gal ban jave, je aa ho jave taan shayad taan gal ban jave. If I was to get this, maybe then it'll be okay. Maybe if I do that, then I'll be okay. Then I'll start to feel more peace within inside of me. But then, pyaro, we've achieved all of these things. Aa bhi ho gaya, o bhi ho gaya. Pyaro, sab kuch prapt ho gaya. Sansari pakte. Sangat Ji, in that mind there was that, maybe if I get that, maybe if I get this, maybe if I do that, maybe if I do this. And there's so many different things that we thought would do it. But the truth was, Paatshah Ji was saying to us, they said, no, the way that you was going to feel satisfied, these burning desires are not going to come to an end. You'll keep thinking the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Because now the mind has become that way, pukhya. The mind has become hungry. It's now become a habit of the mind. And they're saying that pukhya, pukh, within all these hungers, pukhya, pukh, na utri, but the hunger does not go. We're still not satisfied. Pukh na utri, je banna. Even if, Sangat Ji, we get a whole bundle of things upon our head, even if we get everything that we desired on the outside, whether it be a child, look what people go through if they're struggling to have a child. But those very same people, Sangat Ji, even though yes, they might be having joyful moments with that child, but still they're still searching. ਭੁੱਖ ਨਾ ਉਤਰੀ ਬੰਨਾ ਪੰਡ ਤਾਂ ਬਣ ਲਿਆ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਆਪਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ. We thought ਕਿ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਜੇ ਆ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਆ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, ਪਰ ਫੇਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਉਹ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਪਰ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖਾਲੀ ਦੇ ਖਾਲੀ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ. But still empty from inside, even though we ended up getting all these things. If I thought, still searching. ਭੁੱਖ ਨਾ ਉਤਰੀ ਜੇ ਬੰਨਾ ਪੁਰੀਆਂ ਭਾਰ. ਪੁਰੀਆਂ meaning worlds. Even if I was to go to all, if I think that if I was to get onto the moon, if I think that maybe if we used to go to Mars, Puriya, all these different worlds, if we used to go to these different realms even, Par, and I was to then go and accumulate, and if I was to go and get everything from there as well, thinking maybe this will do it for me. Je banna Puriya Par, Pathji saying that nahi ਭੁੱਖਿਆਂ ਭੁੱਖ ਨਾ ਉਤਰੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਭੁੱਖ ਉਤਰਦੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ. You'll have to go inside. ਉਸ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜੁੜਨਾ ਪਊਗਾ. It's only when you connect to ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਚਰਨ from inside. ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਰ ਆਰਾਧੇ ਅਰੋਗ ਅਨਦਾਈ. But those that ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ start to meditate on ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, when we start to experience that connection with Vaheguru Ji, and then constantly remaining in that meditation, even if those people, Sangat Ji, it's been proven, even practitioners of meditation, that their mind becomes more and more still, and they're able to even measure that with this physical brain, because this is the brain is a part of our Satul Sarir, the physical, this matter, but then we've got the mind which is subtle, which is Sangat Ji, ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਥੂਲ ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੂਖਮ, ਪਰ ਮਨ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੂਖਮ ਆ, but this brain, this is ਸਥੂਲ. So Sangat Ji, the mind is subtle, but the brain is actual physical matter, but this we're able to measure the stability of the subtle mind through the brain, and it shows that people, they start to, the more and more that they meditate and they connect to something that is beyond their thoughts, the thoughts are which are bound to the mind, and thoughts are bound to memory. And when they go to a place above that, when they go to a place above the buddhi, above even the intellect, that makes decisions, and when they go to that still place through meditation, that still place is connecting to Vaheguru Ji. And when we're humbled before that energy, and then what happens is, har aradhe, as we are meditating on that one, arog, we start to become disease free. We start to go to a place that is beyond disease. Disease, Sangat Ji, of what? The greatest disease that we have is of ego. From ego then comes all the other 5 vices. Then comes pride, then comes anger, greed, attachment, all of these things. We become then free of these. And then Sangat Ji, they showing that when somebody carried out an actual experiment to have a look at how the brain responds to then situations in comparison to people that don't meditate on that one. And what they found was that if they experience something in their life that causes them pain, even if it's physical pain, the way their then brain responds to it is completely different to somebody that doesn't meditate on Vaheguru Ji. The way their mind responds to it is completely different. Even though they might not be acknowledging that they're meditating on Vaheguru, but when you go to that space, it is Vaheguru Ji. It doesn't matter, then it's beyond believing and non-believing. Because this path was never about believing in something. This path was about taking the tools and experiencing that one. And then they were able to measure that the way their brain responds to that pain is completely different. And when somebody knows that this pain is coming to us, one person reacts very extreme, and the meditator, the waves in their brain aren't extreme at all. The approach to a difficult situation in their life, it doesn't shoot up like that. It's very gradual. There's a very slight difference in some people. Very still the mind is. And then if they feel physical pain, they said that it was just it peaks up for a second and then it just drops back down. But the person that doesn't practice meditation, they said that mind is still responding to that pain at a very high level, still living that pain again and again in their brain. But the others, the meditators, it comes back down to that stability. And that peak was just the physical pain that was experienced. Sangatji, so these things are even being proved today. Not that we need them proved, but Sache Paatshah saying to us, kende har arade arog, you start to become disease free. And then kende anadai means that you start to experience a more stable happiness in your life. Not something that comes and goes. You start to experience a more constant joy in your life. But those that actually forget and separate themselves from who? From Ram, from Vaheguruji, that beloved Snehi, from that beautiful beloved Vaheguruji. Then what happens to them? Then lakhahi, hundreds of thousands of Bedan. Bedan Sangji meaning Bedan Sangji here meaning difficulties in their life. They come and take over them. Even though it said here illnesses, but it could be difficulties, illnesses, the way, however you want to look at it. But Visra Sangji doesn't mean when you forget Vaheguruji with your thoughts. Because just thinking about Vaheguruji is not enough. That's why Sache Paatshah Ji that say to us in Japji Sahib as well, they say sochna ho bhai je sochi lakhwar, that even if Sangat Ji you're thinking about, merely thinking with your mind through your thoughts, which is just all bound from your experiences through your senses. But this here Sangat Ji jisno visra mera ram snehi. And Sangat Ji, but they're saying those that have forgot Vaheguruji, meaning that have stopped connecting to Vaheguruji, that haven't got that experience of that one from inside, which is beyond thought, beyond intellect. Those that haven't got the experience of that connection with that stillness from inside and connecting to Vaheguruji's charan in humility. Sangat Ji, that what happens to them? Kende tis laak bedan jan ai. Kende what comes upon them? To those people is Bedan. Bedan Sangat Ji translates literally to Pirta. Pirta means experiencing pain. A pain of the mind. Because the truth is, the true pain is all in our mind. And that happens when we don't have that experience of Vaheguruji. And then Sache Paatshah Ji kende jeh jan ot gehi prabh teri. Kende, but those that have become your humble servants and they take support from you, gehi Sangat Ji means take hold tightly of your support, Vaheguruji, from inside of themselves. Kende se sukhiye prabh sharane. Kende, then they remain sukhi, they remain happy in your, because now they're in your sanctuary, they're under your protection. Kende jehinar bisriya purkh bidata. But those that forget Vaheguruji, kende te dukhiya meh ganane. Kende, they are accounted as the ones that are actually dukhi, suffering in this world, that experience pain, but pain of that mental pain. Kende jeh gurman prabhu livlai. But those that actually jeh gurman, those that give themselves to the Guru and accept the Guru's way of life, kende Prabhu live lai, and they will connect to that Vaheguru Ji from inside. Kende Tehe Maha Anand Ras Karya. Kende they will then experience this Maha Anand, this overwhelming bliss from inside. Because Pyareo, those that remain only at the level of thinking, because even Vichar of Gurbani can answer so many questions for us. But sometimes that Vichar only remains at thinking level. So we've got to take the Guru's message and go beyond. Because the truth is, when we actually take the tools from the Guru and meditate on Naam, through the meditation of Naam, it'll take us to that place of experience. From that place of experience, everything then will start falling into place. Then we'll start to experience that Maha Anand Jehe Prabhu Bisar Gurte Be Mokhai. But those that actually forget Vaheguru Ji, Gurte Be Mokhai, and turn their backs on their Guru, Kende Te Narak Kor Meh Pareya, then they end up in that most terrible hell, Nark. And Sangaji, that means then they end up falling into that suffering of the mind. Kende jit ko laya tit hi laga. Kende that one that Vaheguru Ji has attached those, only those can attach to Vaheguru Ji, that Vaheguru Ji attaches. Jit ko laya, jinono Vaheguru Ji ne laya. Meaning that we have to do the right thing accordingly to Vaheguru Ji's laws to be able to attach to Vaheguru Ji. Only those that have done the right thing to attach to Vaheguru Ji can attach to Vaheguru Ji. Taso hi vartara. And Sangaji, because that is the way of Vaheguru Ji. Taso hi vartara. Meaning, Sangat Ji, sometimes we see many of people will say, well, that person's religious. Look, they're still suffering. They still suffer mentally. Why? It's because, Sangat Ji, we haven't taken the medication that the Guru gives us as prescribed. We're still missing something. How many of us are just doing our Nityanem whilst we're getting ready, running around in the morning, listening to it on our earphones, and we're thinking that where's the sukh? We didn't even do what the Guru actually said. The Guru gave us formulas that if you do things in this way, then you will get this result. If you go deep inside and meditate on the name of God with absolute faith and love, then you will start to see the results. But if you've just made this into an empty ritual, then obviously you're still going to continue to suffer, because you haven't done it as per the way Guru has prescribed for us to take this medication of Naam. And then Sadhguru Ji Pacha Ji say, Nanak sah pakari santan ki. Pacha Ji here is saying to us, those that have actually taken the oat pakri, taken hold of the support of what? Santan, of those great saints that are immersed in the remembrance of Vaheguru Ji. Then what happens? Hriday pe magan charanara. Then we become magan, we become intoxicated. Because now we're enjoying those feet of Vaheguru Ji, where? Inside of our hriday, inside of our heart, Sangat Ji. Not inside of our thoughts, but inside of our heart. That heart where those emotions of love well up, Sangat Ji. So, itniya ki bentiyan parwan karniyan. Please forgive me for my mistakes. So, that takeaway message that was strong for me within this Shabad today, Sangat Ji, was that what Sache Pacha Ji said to us. And Sangat Ji, and that is that if we separate from Vaheguru Ji, and that isn't separating from Vaheguru Ji for where just thought is concerned. Because many of us, our thoughts, they are something one day, but they are something else another day. Our thoughts will keep altering depending on what these senses have experienced. So Sangat for us, it's truly about experiencing Waheguru Ji through the tools the Guru has given us of meditation on Naam. Because there's mindfulness, but what our Guru has given us is immersing ourselves in Naam, in mindfulness. Big difference. And when we take that tool of the Guru and we start to have experiences of that one inside, going beyond that mind and being in that ras, in that anand, Sangat, in that place there is happiness and bliss. But when we don't take those tools and we are completely separated from the experience of that one, उसनों अपने अनुभव विच लैके आना, केवल अपने सोच मंडल उपर दे विच नहीं उसनों केवल लैके आना, पर उसनों साडे अनुभव विच लैके आना, not just being in the realm of thought, but actually being in the realm of experiencing Waheguru Ji and then Sangat Ji. But if that doesn't come into our experience, then we'll continue to suffer. We'll be continuing to just trying to work it out with the knowledge we have gained through these senses. But this game is beyond these senses. Agam agochar. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa.